Hey everybody, and welcome to today's community event live here from our Impact Hall, actually in Epicenter Amsterdam. It's great to have you all here, and I'm super excited about the topic and the event that is taking place in just a few minutes left from now. Today I'm going to introduce a topic and as well as, of course, the session that has been something challenging for all of us working in teams, especially over the last few months, due to the pandemic, of course, and the fact that we all have to start working remotely. It's great to see the number of attendees live already, and by the looks of it, there are, well, people joining from all over the world. I'm hoping for a great and dynamic session today, and I will just take a few seconds of your time as an introduction before I'll hand over the word to the speakers of today. But first, about the tool that we are in at the moment. As you see on your screen, and I have the exact same screen in front of me, you started to be active in the chat box, which is great because we want you to engage. And since the speakers are here today, won't be able to hear you with the audio, or for instance, hear your applause or your share-ons, you can use the chat box for all the communication. If you have a specific question, you can use the button down below in the bottom bar of your screen that says ask a question, so then that we can get you interacted with the speakers and get all of your questions answered today. So the topic of today's session is alignment, and our speakers today are Sonsoles Alonso and Mark Farragher, both with great experience and with expertise in aligning teams about a common and strategic business goal. Even more exciting, and that's something that we've been discussing over the last few weeks, is that they have just launched and developed an app to make this even easier by visualizing complex problems that are, usually taking place within teams and getting everybody aligned. And I'm so glad having them here today to share their knowledge. So for now, I think Mark will take it away.
All right. Hi, everyone. Super happy to be here. Super happy to see you all in this workshop. So my name is Mark Farragher. Together with Sonsoles Alonso, we're going to give you an overview in team alignment. We're going to show you team alignment, which is a tool. It's a systemic tool that will help you align a team, a business team or a tech team or any kind of corporate team around a common goal. So if there are teams in your organization that are not completely aligned, this could be because of a conflict within a team or maybe a disagreement within a team. I've seen this many times in my career, my tech career. I have a tech background. I'll tell you a bit more about that in a second. But I've seen many times that tech teams are misaligned. Tech teams, they don't quite, they know where they want to go. There is a clear end goal where they want to end up. A product needs to be developed, a deadline needs to be met, something needs to be achieved within a certain time frame. But the path towards that goal, people are not entirely clear on that. There could be some misagreement, some miscommunication. Maybe half of the team says we should use technology A, and the other half says we should use technology B. And we're going to show you a tool that will help you align a team and make sure that everyone can come together around this common goal, and that it's clear to the entire team what needs to happen, in what order, and who is responsible for the individual bits and pieces. So it's a really powerful tool. We have a little app as well that helps in the process of team alignment. So we're going to show you a sneak peek of this application. We're pretty enthusiastic about the app because it will help us do team alignment online. So we can actually run this process online. Traditionally, team alignment usually happens on site in a room with the entire team present. Now with the coronavirus, that's a huge challenge. So Sonsoles and I have been brainstorming for a while how we could take this entire process online and perform a team alignment online. And we created this tool as our first attempt to make this possible. So we're also super enthusiastic to show it to you. Maybe a good way to start is maybe you put in the chat if you are leading a team or if you are in a team, so are you part of a team, and how big your team is. So, in the chat window, just type if you are a team leader, like a manager, you lead your own team, or maybe you are part of a business team, and how big is your team? Are we talking about 5 people or 10 people or 20 people? Just put it in the chat as a little comment to give some solace to me, also a bit of feedback on the size of your team. So, Jules Koster, you've got 8 people in your team. Arjan Postma, you have 5 team members. Oh no, you have a team of 21. That's a bit bigger than I thought. Okay. Anthony Miller, you're an architect. You have a dotted line to a team of 8 developers. A dotted line, what does that mean? It's not a solid line. I hope. What's the significance of a dotted line? Well, you can put that in as well. Abid Akhtar, you have a team of 9 people, but the manager takes over. There you go. That happens a lot, doesn't it? The manager takes over, so you don't have a mandate to run your own team, basically. So this is something you could fix with team alignments. Anthony Miller, they don't directly report to me. Okay, got it. Yeah. Okay. Gopinath, I have a team of 12 people. Congratulations. That's quite big. So are you guys team leaders, or are you participating in a team? So who of you is leading a team? So are you responsible for the team, and then you report to your superiors? So of course, architect, yeah, so you're a team leader, that makes sense. Gopinath, you're a CMS architect, awesome. So yeah, Abid Akhtar said that, you're an architect. Congratulations, good role, very nice. So I'm not going to ask you if you have alignment issues in your team, because there might be personal information that you don't want to share. Feel free to share if you're comfortable with that, but you don't have to. But so if you have issues in your team, if there is a misalignment, you'll notice that if you're team leader, that you will have difficulties getting the team to moving the team towards a common goal, hitting deadlines, having productive and smooth discussions about what needs to happen. You'll notice that there's friction at every level of the functioning of your team. And team alignment is an awesome tool to fix that. So one more, Robert Ochieng, I hope I pronounced it correctly, Ochieng. So you're a project manager running a team of 12. Congratulations, good role, nice functions. Yeah. So let's move on. Let me introduce myself, and then I'll give the word to Sansolis, and then Sansolis can introduce herself as well. So I'm gonna quickly put up a slide. Let me just share my screen. It's a good technology test. We can see if this works. And then, yeah, that definitely works. And then here's a slide. So here's the opening slide to our workshop. So we are going to present a Dream Tech Team Hackathon to you, and we will show you how to perform team alignment in technical teams. But let's do a quick intro. So let me introduce myself. So my name is Mark Farragher. I have an IT background. So I don't have a coaching background. I have a technology background. I started out as a software developer. That was more than 20 years ago. So I had a very long career in technology. I've had pretty much every role you can imagine. I started out as a junior developer, and then I worked my way up to project manager, and then I was an architect. I was a CTO for a bunch of companies in the Netherlands and abroad. I founded 3 companies, so I've been a founder 3 times. So I've done a lot. But my first experience with alignment was in my very first startup. So this was in 2001, so almost 20 years ago. My very first startup, back in the day, we were a software development company. And in that era, there were 2 kinds of software development companies. There were the hardcore tech companies that produced complex technological solutions. And we had the designers, the graphical design companies, the media companies that could produce very flashy media demos, but they weren't very good at tech, at e-commerce sites or shopping carts or any kind of technology. But they were very good at the visuals. And so there were these two teams, the design teams and the developer teams, and they didn't really communicate with each other. So companies would often decide to become a design company or become a development company. And our startup, I created the company with a friend, and our startup was one of the first companies in that era to combine the two. So we had designers and developers working together in single project teams. That sounds completely normal nowadays, but 20 years ago, this was revolutionary because these were completely separate groups with their own jargon, their own tools, their own ways of working, and there was a huge amount of friction between these two groups. What I did back then, 20 years ago, was actually team alignment. Every day, my colleague and I, the company founders, we would perform team alignment on our own people, on our own employees, to get those two groups to work together harmoniously in projects and produce results and produce products that were technologically advanced, and that also looked really nice, that really had good visuals and good graphics and good media elements. So we combined those two domains together. So the message I want to give to you right now in this introduction is, if you manage to align a team, if you bring two separate groups together using team alignment, this can actually give you a competitive advantage. It will bring your performance level to a new height. And you can use that to really open up a new market segment, open up a new domain, or outperform your competitors. This is really a super powerful tool. So I'm super enthusiastic to share it with you today. So I've been talking for quite a while now. So Sansalis, would you like to take over?
Yes, thank you.
You've talked for a while now. I can take a rest, you know.
No, thank you. I'll introduce myself as well. I'll keep it simple. I help CXOs and founders build highly efficient, happy teams in 6 months or less with the right hires. And in order to do that, I use systemic tools, serious games, and yes, hold on to your underpants, the secrets of Dutch figure shit out artists. And figure shit out, you can abbreviate as FSO. And this is a term that is strongly endorsed by Jonathan Griechen, who is one of the co-founders of the Founder Institute. The Founder Institute helps startup founders actually build their businesses. And an FSO person is someone who not only can learn very quickly, but who is also intrinsically motivated to learn even more. It doesn't matter what the topic is. So Dutch artists are actually those kind of people. So I use their secrets as well in order to help my teams. So perhaps we can move on to the next slide, Mark.
By all means.
Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit where I'm coming from, because this is my second career. I have been doing my work with teams now for about 8 years. But if you look at this slide, what you see on the right-hand side is a floor plan. And it belongs to a performance that I gave somewhere, I think around 2000. And it involved 10 grand pianos. I was one of them. Well, not one of the grand pianos, one of the pianists, actually. And 5 software developers. And you can see these developers around a light blue table, yeah, in the middle of the floor plan. And these developers, they were using algorithms to alter the sound of the grand pianos and trigger visuals at the same time. And you can see what that looked like in real time on the picture on the left. Yeah. So there was something else happening that was very interesting, and that is that the audience was free to move in between the grand pianos and in between the grand pianos and the developers. So yeah, this was a performance involving a lot of people that needed to be organized. Now, if you look at the middle, there is an hexagon, and that is a composition, yeah, that is actually written music, and it's called hexagony. And it's a one-pager, yeah, with which the collaboration between the performing musicians is depicted visually, yeah. And in avant-garde music, this is called a graphic score, right? It's basically a serious game. When you are going to perform this music, you receive some rules that you need to follow, but you are also given a lot of freedom to do the work as you see fit. So it's actually, like a flexible grid. So when you look at my previous work as an artist, my work revolved around organizing people towards the achievement of a goal, which in the case of the arts was a performance, right? And all these graphics that you are seeing here were a very simple way to visualize the complexity of organizing all those people, right? So we can move on, Mark, to the next slide. So what I did when transitioning careers is I translated those tools from the arts to new systemic tools for working with teams and organizations. And in this picture, you see me working with a team, and a number of stakeholders. In this case, it was, if I remember correctly, it was the core team, it was the client, and it was investors. And as you see, I drew some lines on the floor. So basically, you could say that today I create floor plans for teams, right? So sometimes I joke that I am some kind of floor plan lady. But anyway, so I draw these floor plans in order to organize a team collaboration or a collaboration among different stakeholders. And I started using my own tools that I had invented myself, but of course I went back to school to gain some more business acumen. So I went to management school, I got certified in both systemic work and also power intelligence, because every time that you are working with a group, with a team, with an entire organization, there is always going to be power issues. So systemic tools and power intelligence tools, they mix really very well. So as you see here, I use the word systemic. I do systemic team development. And I would like you to think of when we were kids. You remember that we used to play with strings with our hands, yeah? So I would like you to visualize that my 10 fingers are actually 10 team members. And I want you to visualize that string as well. So what happens is that if someone lets go of the string, that will have an effect on the entire team. Someone else does something else, look at this finger, that will do something with the team as well. So when I say that I work systemically, what I am doing is working with that wiring, with that string in between the team members, and looking how that relationship between the team members is having an impact on the achievement or lack of achievement of whichever goal it is that they share or should share, right? So this is different from the past, because in the past, in traditional team building, which we don't do anymore, when there was a problem in a team, we went searching for the problem person, and we diagnosed this person and we fixed the person. And then we put that person back in the team. But we have now seen, with the analogy of the strings and the fingers, that every person is impacting the whole team all the time. So there is no point in fixing someone and putting them back in the team. We need to work with the entire team, right? So that's our focus in systemic team coaching. We focus on those relationships and how those relationships have an impact on the achievement or not of the desired goal. Right? So in systemic team coaching, we also think that teams are not broken, but Mark and I see them as intelligent, right, and creative, and also with the ability to leave their personal positions behind, given the right conditions. So my work and Mark's work, when we work together as facilitators, is actually to create those conditions so that people can leave those personal positions behind and can align towards the desired goal. Okay, so this is very interesting and something that surprises a lot of people, but team alignment is possible even if you don't like your colleagues, right? So systemic work normalizes that you actually might not like someone. That's okay. But that this is actually also not an impediment for doing the work that needs to be done and reaching the goals that need to be reached, right? So you can compare this with a good divorce. A couple might decide that they don't want to be together anymore, they don't like each other anymore, but they might align around the needs of the kids, right? So they don't need to like each other, but they can align around those needs. The same thing with a team. And systemic work also normalizes that conflict is normal. Yeah, whenever people are working together, there is going to be conflict. Sometimes small conflict, sometimes big conflict, it doesn't matter, but there is always going to be some kind of friction, and that is okay. If you handle that properly, in fact, you can come up with very creative solutions to problems, and you can really move your team forward to new heights. Yeah, so we normalize that as well. One last thing about systemic teamwork is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with anthropological research, but with this type of research, when you are building, let's say, a product, you go, to your possible customer and you examine how that customer interacts with your product. Systemic work with teams has a bit of that quality because team members are moving along this grid that I draw on the floor. And when people are moving, they provide you with different information than when you call them and you summon them to a table and you want to discuss a problem with them. It's an entirely different type of information that the team members provide you with, right? So systemic work is actually a very beautiful way, if I might use that word in business. It's a beautiful way of humanizing the workplace because we normalize conflict, we normalize that we might not like someone, and yet we create the conditions for doing good work and for achieving our goals. Now we are going to move on to the tool in a minute, but perhaps some of you are wondering why we need systems thinking today. So Mark, perhaps you can bring up the next slide. Right. So yes. So in the past, I am sure you remember Henry Ford. And Henry Ford invented this car, which was a T model, a black car. It was the car that all Americans wanted to have. So what did he do? He created an assembly line and he could turn out millions of these cars because this was the one car, the average car that everyone in the whole wide world wanted to have. But today, things have changed completely. The number of products that we are developing today has grown exponentially, and there is no such thing as an average customer, right? And also the variables that are playing out are just kind of crazy. I mean, we were talking about uncertainty until 2 months ago, but then, Corona just came along and just really drove the point home, nothing is certain. At any point, anything can happen. So that means that today we cannot predict, we cannot anticipate, we cannot do what Henry Ford was doing. So the only thing that we can do today is to sense what is happening and to respond to that, because everything and everyone is having a relationship with each other. Yeah? So systemic work is really what allows us to do that, to sense and to respond by including the whole team or all stakeholders, in or outside of an organization. And also include the client, by the way, in everything that we do. So I like to call this way of working the new efficiency, right? Like some kind of new lean for our current uncertain times. And this, by the way, doesn't mean that we have to throw away the old lean. We can continue to be efficient in that way, but the point of system thinking is actually to help you create a dual culture, in which you can be really world-class at both things, the old lean, in which you actually continuously do better than what you already know how to do well, and at the same time be good in the new lean, right? Which is this responding and inventing as you go along, as events like Corona, for instance, impact you. So that was a little bit kind of a, like a mini lecture. It was a lot of information. So I was just wondering if anyone has any questions. So let me look in the chat. Okay, so Anthony Miller is asking, humanizing is good, but how do we do this with a remote team when you are not there and the team is distributed, I suppose, around the world? Well, hold on a minute. We are going to show you. I also have a message from Epicenter that says, make sure to press the green button to reach out to Mark or Sonsoles. I suppose that is a message for you, the audience. So is there anyone who has more questions that need to be answered right now?
I can quickly explain what that green button is. That is the button at the bottom of the presentation. If you click that, you go to a web page and you can book a call with us. If you think, oh my God, this team alignment is awesome, I want it, then you can book a quick call with us and we can chat about it and we can make a plan. So if at the end, if you think, wow, I love team alignment, I love this tool, I want to roll this out in my organization, click the button and let's chat.
Okay, good, great. So there's a message from Gopinath. He says, no questions at this point. Please go ahead. So let's do that, Mark. Let's go ahead and let's show the tool first, in real time, right? And make sure to put the volume down just so that we can, because of the privacy of the client.
Yeah, okay, here we go.
Okay, so let's play a little bit of that. Okay, so what you see here is, as I said before, there are three stakeholders. They are investors, they are the core team, and they are also the client. And each one of them has a place on the floor. There is also an empty space where you don't see any paper. And there is also a paper in the middle, right in the middle, where the goal of this particular organization is written down. So the investors are in a place called investors, the client is in a place called clients, and the team is in a place called team, right? So what they are doing is what I like to call ventilation, and they get to tell all of their opinions, all of their points of views, all of their solutions when it comes to achieving that goal that is in the middle of this grid. And they tell that from that place where they are standing. Mark, maybe you can move to like around 6:57.
Yeah, give me a sec. It's somewhere here. There we go.
There is a bit of delay, I think. So let's wait a bit. Right, okay, so there has been a change of scene, yeah? I have asked the team to leave their place. Yeah, they are now outside of the grid. You see them here on the right-hand side, right? And I have asked everyone else to go stand in the place of the team. So as facilitators, Mark and I now initiate a dialogue between the real team on the right and all of the other people who are usually not the team, but who are now in that place. And we start a dialogue between the real team and the fake team.
Okay, so Solis, I can't hear you anymore.
Hey guys, I think something is wrong with the sound of Sonsoles.
Yeah. Dini, can you still see the video?
Yeah, I can still see the video. What I'll do is I'll just quickly remove Sonsoles from the session and invite her up the screen again, just to quickly reboot in a way. Let's see if that helps.
I just sent her a WhatsApp. Let's see if that works.
Yeah.
It's probably the Bluetooth headset.
I think so too, because everything went well. But it's good to have a little tiny break of the info.
We made the first half hour without any tech issues. That's pretty awesome.
And I think, this is one of the risks, of course, with hosting online events. Let me check if I can invite Sonsoles up on the screen again.
Yeah, that should work. So everyone, in the meantime, you're looking at the alignment process happening in real time. So you have the team on the left, you have the team on the right, and everybody else pretending to be the team on the left. So this is basically an empathy exercise where you step into the roles of someone else. You pretend to have a different role, and then you have to act out that role on this grid on the floor. So the people on the left are now pretending to be the team, and they are acting that out in front of the real team. So this is very interesting because how do they think a team member is like? What does it feel like? How do you respond? How do you behave? How do you act in that scenario? And the real team is looking on, and they can say, okay, that looks realistic, or, oh, is that how you perceive me? That's very interesting. So this opens up belief systems, the hidden belief systems, how people view each other's roles. This exercise brings all of that to the surface in a safe context, that people can laugh about it. You can see in the video that people are relaxed, there's good energy, everybody's fairly relaxed, even though it could be quite confrontational, what is being discussed here.
So I think I should be back now, am I?
Yeah, so Sonsoles, you're back. We can hear you.
Okay, so here's the thing. When you're working with technology, you always need a plan B. So I have another set of headphones. So I'm back. You just said something important, Mark. You mentioned the word safety. This is very important because before each session, we always have to create some psychological safety. When you start working with a client, a team is not just going to tell you their problems right away. So what we do is we start with some kind of team alliance. How do we want to work together? Some people call that team agreements. That create that safe container in order to share whatever is happening. I wonder if you could move on to 11:57.
Yeah, we are pretty close to that, actually. This is 12:07. We're past that point already.
Okay, so go to 11:15 then, perhaps.
Yeah, I have to go back.
Yeah, 11:15.
One sec, 11, right there.
Okay, so there is a bit of a delay. So as you can see, there is movement again. People are changing places, and there is a bit of delay in the video. But what is happening is this time around, I am asking the investors to leave their place, and I am asking everyone else to go into the place of the investors. And then we are going to initiate another conversation between the real investors and the fake investors, right? And the point here is to see, whether they have understood what it is to look at the goal that needs to be achieved from the place of the investors, the real investors. So you want to check, did the non-investors listen well when the real investors were talking at the beginning of the process, right? Maybe you can move on to 1620, Mark.
Yeah, coming up, 16...
20.
Sorry. Yes, there we go.
Okay.
Starting now.
Yeah. So the video will probably move slowly, but as you see, there is movement again, yeah? And we had one stakeholder that had not moved yet. We have worked with the team, we had worked with investors, but not with the client. So now I am asking the real client to leave their place and everyone else to go into the place of the clients. And we do the same thing one third time around. We have a dialogue between the real client and the non-client. Right? So then after this, we move on to 2028, Mark.
Coming up, that would be right here. 4 seconds from now.
Okay. So there is going to be a lot of movement again. Yeah, that is happening now. And now I am asking everyone, all 3 stakeholders, to go into the empty space, right? And this empty space, we call it the common ground. And from here, yeah, they can see the goal right in front of them, which is on the floor in the middle, yeah? And we start importing information from all of these departments in which they were standing before. And we start to build, yeah, some kind of alignment from that place, right? So this is a way of aligning a team after having gained a lot of information that you would not have gained if you would have gone into, you know, your normal type of conversations, the one that you have usually at work. You know, whether you are a team or a couple or a basketball team, it doesn't matter. Whenever we have issues, we always tend to solve them with the same type of conversation. Each one of us, you know, has a certain style. So these type of tools break those, you know, mental processes and help us find new and fresh information that we didn't have before. And this gets even more interesting because after building from this common, you know, common ground, this slice of the pie called the common ground, I also send people away with homework, because there is no point in using a tool if there is no action steps, right? So ideally, what I would do is I would ask the investors, you know, pretend that you are the team, and I would tell the client, pretend that you are the investors, and I would tell the other group, pretend that you are, so we have team, client, investors. I would ask each one of them to pretend that they are, you know, any other one, and to say, okay, now you are going to provide action steps towards that goal as if you are an investor instead of as if you are a team member. Once more, because the idea is to come up with solutions, yeah, that would not have been provided by using any other type of traditional tool. So this is not only a way to create alignment in a team, but it is a way of being very creative, and it is also a way of crossing disciplines, because actually when we cross disciplines, yeah, we can also come up with much more interesting innovations than if we stay within the constraints of our own little place in the pie. So Mark and I teamed up and built an app so that we can do this online. And Mark is going to introduce the next slide. We came up with a case, and then we are going to show you how to solve that case using the digital app. So Mark, go ahead.
Okay, so let me stop the video and see if I can move to the next slide. There's probably one, is that too far? Yeah, here we go. Okay, so we created a case to demo team alignments to you guys. So we're going to work with a fictional company called Blue Sun. This is their beautiful logo. Now, this is actually a company from a well-known TV show. So if you recognize this company logo, feel free to put it in the chat so we can see if there are any true fans out there who would instantly recognize what we're talking about. But in this scenario, Blue Sun is a power company. It's a solar power company. So they sell solar panels to consumers, to be put on roofs of houses, and for private energy creation. So this is a very traditional company. They do not do anything online. They have created their own sales process over the years, and it is very analog, basically. They don't really use the internet for anything. So you can imagine that Blue Sun has developers that build the internal tools, that order equipment, and who can plan installations on the roofs of houses. They have a sales team who sell solar panels, solar installations to consumers. They have executives. They will have a CEO and a CTO and a COO who are running the company. So there will be executives, and they've been chugging along in the market for decades, and they're not one of the biggest companies in the market. They're not the smallest. They're in the middle. They're not really growing, but they are surviving. And then what happens is there is an acquisition and a merger. An acquisition and a merger. So Blue Sun is going to team up with a larger company. So now we have the situation that Blue Sun is under new management. So the executive team has been shook up. In the CXO section, we have some of the original people, and there are some new people that come from the other company. And this new company wants to embrace digital transformation. They want to go all out, all digital. So they want a flashy new website. They want an online e-commerce system. They want homeowners to be able to go to a website and enter some information, where their house is, how big their house is, what kind of roof they have. And then this website will instantly calculate the optimal solar panel installation for their roof. And everything will be automated. There will automatically go an order to the factory to supply the solar panels, and then installers will place these panels on the roof. So let's say half or more of this traditional sales process is going to be automated. It's going to be online. It's going to be 100% digital. And let's throw in some AI as well, some artificial intelligence software. Maybe there's an AI component that can just look at a picture of a house. It can just look at Street View, a picture of a house, and it can automatically calculate the optimal positioning of solar panels on the roof of that house. So you no longer need an installer to look at a house and measure everything and then come with a proposal. We have an AI tool that just generates a perfect proposal in a fraction of a second. So this is the change that is about to happen in the Blue Sun Corporation. Now you can imagine that this is creating a bit of tension within the company. So in this case, we're going to map out the tension. We're going to explore the tension using team alignment. So here's an early screenshot of our alignment tool. So Sansolis and I were testing the tool in a Zoom session. So you can see us at the top in a Zoom session, and we have the tool running on the screen. So this is an early version. You'll notice that in the upcoming demos, the tool is going to look more sophisticated. But this was an early prototype that we were testing. Now notice that you can already recognize some elements. We got this little Lego figures that represent the team members, the people in the team, and we have this grid. Remember when you saw Sansolis doing the team alignment on the video, you had this grid on the floor. You had those lines on the floor that created a grid of 4 quadrants. So here we have the same thing, a virtual grid on the floor. There are 4 segments on the floor, and they have been highlighted. So here we have designers, growth hackers, and developers. And then there is this 4th empty grid called common ground. And we have everybody in the correct segments. So you can see we have 3 growth hackers, we have got 1 designer, and we have 2 developers. So this is a way of doing the team alignment online. we have people logging in on this tool. They can control one of these figures. They can move the figures around in 3D space. And so they can stand on their segment, the segment that corresponds to their role, and they can move into different segments, and they can face each other in virtual space and look at each other. So we felt, Sansolis and I felt, that to bring team alignment to the online world is quite a challenge, because the power of team alignment is really standing on that grid and looking at your colleagues, looking your colleagues in the eye. And maybe you're just a software developer, and then you're standing in the executive grid, and you have to pretend to be the CEO. So you have to act as if you are the CEO, and you are facing the real CEO. And then you have to pretend to be the CEO and act out what that is like. And the real CEO, the real executives, are looking on, and they're probably going to be shocked to see how the rest of the company is perceiving them. So it's a very intense process. It brings up a lot of hidden emotions and hidden belief systems that normally exist below the surface. And Sansolis and I, we try to replicate that online by recreating that setup. So we believe that we want a setup that is fairly realistic. It needs to look like an actual alignment session. So we need the same grid, and we need to be able to move ourselves around in this virtual space. And at the same time, we don't want it to be too realistic, because that might be scary. So instead of having super realistic people in there, we use these Lego figurines. So it makes it easier for people to go through the alignment process, because they're not literally facing the CEO, they're facing a Lego figure with the word CEO floating above. So it makes it slightly more safer to go through this process. But we believe that recreating this alignment space in 3D like this is essential to be able to perform this process online. I'll show you, I'll exit the PowerPoint for a second, and I'll show you a video of the tool running in action. Give me a sec. So I've got a video here. So Sansolis, the video isn't playing yet, but can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So let me just start it right now. So what you're looking at is, this is a virtual reality session. So I'm wearing a VR headset, and I'm in the Oculus home environment. And you see that I've loaded up the tool in the virtual reality browser. And now I'm about to enter 3D mode, to enter immersive mode. So give it a few seconds. And there we go. So this is what the tool looks like in virtual reality. So this is actually a VR tool, and you can enter the 3D space yourself. And then you're actually in the session. So right now I'm standing on the spot of a facilitator. So this would be what it looks like to be a facilitator. But anyone, any team member, can enter this virtual space and occupy the space of one of those characters. And then you're actually on the grid, you're surrounded by your coworkers who are moving in real time, and you're actually going through the team alignment process in real time. It's all around you. You see that we've chosen a relaxing environment, a quiet and peaceful environment surrounded with trees, and the night sky. The sun is fairly low, so we have long shadows. So this is like a peaceful, safe container to perform the alignment in. But you can see that it's a VR tool, so you can actually perform this tool in virtual reality space. So this is what it looks like when we run this tool, where the team members all have VR headsets. So if everybody has a VR headset, then we can all come together in virtual space. We can run this VR session online, and then we're all together in this three-dimensional world all around us. If you haven't experienced VR yet, you have to see it to believe it. It's incredibly immersive. Even though this video might look a bit primitive, but it's quite something else if this landscape is all around you and you actually feel as if you're in that landscape, you're standing on the grid, and you're surrounded by your colleagues. It's a really immersive feeling. And we believe that VR is an important component in bringing team alignment online. Now, of course, not everybody has VR headsets, so we can also operate this thing in a browser, in a collaborative 3D space. where you simply see the scene in 3 dimensions in the browser. Everybody can control their own avatar in the alignment grid, and we can run this live in a Zoom session, and then we all have our microphones open and we can all discuss the alignment process and move ourselves around on the board. So it's kind of like a collaborative way of chess. We have this chessboard in front of us, we have the alignment grid in front of us, and we move our avatars across the board. So what we're going to do now is I am going to show you the tool in a browser. I've got a browser prepared with the different moments during the alignment process, the different setups. Sonsolis is going to walk you through the entire alignment process, and I will show you the 3D scenes at the same time. So while Sonsolis is explaining the different stages of alignment, I will be loading up the correct 3D scene, and I'll show you what that looks like in 3-dimensional space with all the actors lined up in their correct places on the grid. So I'll start with the first scene, which would be this one. So let me just choose a nice camera angle so that we can see what's going on. There we go. So this is the startup position where the coaches, the facilitators, which would be me and Sonsolis, you can see us at the front. So I've given myself a black t-shirt and Sonsolis a pink t-shirt so that you can tell us apart. We're also wearing name tags, but they're on the other side, so you can't see them from this camera angle. We've got the grid on the floor, and you can see that we have a team of 6 people. We have 2 CXOs, we have 2 salespersons, and we have 2 developers. So these are all people working for the Blue Sun company. So you can see that let me just quickly zoom in. You can see we have our CXOs here, that's Ronald and Leo. You can see I gave them gold and silver t-shirts, so these people are rich. So these are the executives running the company. We've got 2 salespeople. Sorry. We've got 2 salespeople, Peter and Josh. So these are sales people, the sales team from the Blue Sun company, with the green and purple t-shirts. And then we have 2 developers, Daryl and Bob, with red and blue t-shirts. And you can see the different grids. We have CXOs, sales, and developers, the 3 grid areas, and we have common ground. And there is a mysterious red box in the middle. So Solis, maybe you can tell us something about it.
Yeah, so the mysterious red box is actually the goal. Yeah, it's a DT. I don't know if you can see it well, but it's the digital transformation, right? Because in a nutshell, the case was this is a company that installs solar panels on roofs, and they were doing that in a very analog way. And the idea is now that you sit behind your computer, you put your postcode in, and the Blue Sun Corporation in its new form has automated their entire value chain in Salesforce, and you just type in that postcode and everything from the installers to the certification to bank loans to anything is automated, and one day you just have that solar panel in the roof. So the goal is to make this Blue Sun Corporation a fully digital business. So this is the same thing that was happening in the example offline in the video that you saw. The difference is now that the stakeholders are different. We have now the CXO, the sales department, and the developers. And here at the opening, what we are asking is, how do you look at this digital transformation from the place where you are standing? Yeah, because imagine if you are in sales and you have been doing traditional sales, for as long as you have worked for your company, and suddenly the whole process is going to be automated. These people are going to need a new job, whether it is inside the organization or something else is going to happen. So this is creating friction. So they will have definitely an opinion about the digital transformation. The CXOs, they are driving it forward. And the developers, they are also having an opinion about the digital transformation, because you remember that there was a merger. These 2 CXOs, they are not always on the same line. So these developers are caught in between 2 worlds. Some days the instruction says build all this automated process, And on other days, it's like, wait, we are not going there, right? So there is a huge amount of friction going on in here. So everyone is getting an opportunity to tell what it is, to speak about this digital transformation from the place where they are standing. And as I said before, we create a big deal of psychological safety, you know, before starting with such a process, because there could be a lot of conflict. Yeah? And as facilitators, our job is to hold that conflict and to give it a chance to transform into something more creative, right? Okay, so then we would move on to the next one, Mark.
Yeah, before I do that, a quick comment. So in this company and this fictional business case, I've seen scenarios like this play out in real life. I've worked for companies where this scenario would actually take place. And what would happen is that there's been a merger and the CXO team is mixed. So we have one guy from the original company and we have one guy from the new company. So usually in a merger, sometimes the CEO gets booted out, and a new person takes his or her place. So in this scenario, you could imagine that Ronald, the guy with the golden shirt, is from the new company. So this is a new CEO who is taking over the Blue Sun company. And Leo in the silver shirt could be the original CTO, who is still part of the original company, or it could be the other way around. So for the rest of the organization, for the sales team and the developer team, this is going to be very, very stressful, because the company is now being run by two leaders at the same time who have radically different visions. So for a developer, this is terrible. Like Sonsola said, you could get marching orders to go left on Monday and go right on Tuesday. So it would be almost impossible to finish any project successfully. And of course, when projects fail, the organization will ask the developers, why did the project fail? Why did you let the project fail? And it's going to be a difficult decision, because as a developer, you have to say, well, your executives are not talking with one voice. That's a difficult decision. The sales team might be worried about their job. I mean, they've been running manual sales for years. They know all their customers, they know all their installers, they have massive Rolodexes with hundreds and hundreds of names. So they know exactly who to call, who to visit, who to send a bottle of champagne to trigger a new sale. And now all of a sudden there's this website, there is AI, there is digital transformation, there's online. So Peter and Josh are scared to lose their job. They see this transformation and they will be thinking, once the transformation is completed, I am fired. There's no room for me in this organization. So instead of thinking like this, like an opportunity, like which new role could I take on in this company, traditionally minded salespeople will think, I am going to be fired. So maybe Peter and Josh are silently sabotaging the digital transformation to hold on to their jobs. So this is all kinds of dysfunctional behavior that might arise after a merger and acquisition. And this will be below the surface. Nobody is going to confront the CXOs directly. This will happen in secret. Peter and Josh are not going to tell the new CEO, I'm sabotaging your new plan because you're going to fire me once this is done. I mean, this is typically the kind of stuff that happens below the surface and that isn't spoken about. So team alignment is a super powerful tool that can bring this to the surface, that everybody can talk about their hopes and their fears and their frustrations in this transition period where the company attempts to embrace digital transformation. So again, this is the power of team alignment. Okay, now, sorry, now I'll move on to the next one. Give me a sec. Here's the next one.
Okay, yeah, so basically everyone had the chance to say how they looked at that digital transformation. And now we do the same thing that I showed you guys offline. I asked the CXOs, with the silver and golden t-shirts, to go out of the grid. And I asked everyone else to go into the place of the CXOs, right? And so we initiate a dialogue to see if the people who are not CXOs, clearly understood what it is to be a real CXO. Next slide.
Yeah. So, quick comment on that as well. So here, the people in the CXO grid are not CXOs. Yeah? You can tell that from the t-shirts, and they need to incorporate that place. So they need to step into the CXO place. They're standing on the CXO grid, which means that now they are the CXOs. So they have to convey that in language, in body language, in posture, in behavior. They need to broadcast how they interpret the role of CXO. And the real CXOs are looking on. So quite often what you see in this phase of the alignment process is the real CXOs, so the gold and silver guy looking on, they don't have a clue how their behavior is impacting the organization. They simply don't know. They believe that they are both doing what's best for the company. They are just trying to roll out a vision on the company, and they don't have a clue that they are actually creating a massive amount of fear, of frustration, and of stress in their wake. So this is usually a very eye-opening moment where the entire organization conveys what they interpret the CXO role to be like, and the actual CXOs are looking on and they're thinking, oh my God, is that how you perceive me? This is quite often a humbling moment where there's a light bulb going on over the heads of the CXOs, where they think, oh my God, is this how you perceive me? I'm going to have to change, how I operate from now on. And to create a safe container, to give everybody a safe space to do this, you could see Sansolis and me holding space here. So we would position ourselves between these two groups and create like a safe circle where people can honestly convey how they feel and what they think without fears of repercussion. Okay, next one. So we're moving on to the sales team. Let me quickly rotate the camera to give you guys a good view. It would be something like that. So this is what it looks like for the salespeople. So Sansolis, what are we doing here?
Yeah, so we asked, now let's see who is out. Someone is standing common grounds. Can you make it a little bigger so I can see who they are?
Yeah, so the salespeople are standing outside.
Sales, exactly. Okay, yeah. So the salespeople, which are wearing a purple and a green shirt, those are the real salespeople. They are now outside of the grid, and everyone else has gone into sales. And we do exactly the same process again. Have they listened well? Are they aware of what it is to be in the place of sales? Yeah. So a dialogue between the real sales and the rest of the, let's call them the fake sales. Okay, next one.
Yeah, next one. That would be this one.
Okay, and now we do the same thing with the developers. The real developers have left the grid and everyone else has gone into the place of the developers. We don't need to say more about this. Next slide. Okay, so now everyone has gone into the green area. Yeah, this is the common ground. Mark and I are on the left. We are the facilitators, right? And everyone is in the common area, which means that just as in the offline version, we can now start building, from all the new information that we have heard during this process. And then it's time again for action steps. So I would say, we are going to create 3 work groups, and the developers are going to be sales, the sales are going to be CXOs, and the CXOs are going to pretend they are developers. And I want all of you to provide solutions from that new place where you are never actually working from. And the idea is to come up with very creative solutions, with very creative action steps that are crossing boundaries instead of staying always in your own department, in your own silo, right? So, so basically, we are super excited about this tool because your team can place themselves in space, and move around in order to solve alignment issues. And I had a very interesting question in the chat from Jules Koster, who said, are there always 4 grid divisions, or can you use more squares? Yeah, we can change the shape of the grid, because imagine that you need alignment between 6 stakeholders, right? You would need actually 7 spaces on the floor. Yeah, so this is very flexible. It's a very versatile tool. Something else that we could do, imagine, we were talking about the CXOs, that they are from 2 different companies, you know, because there was a merger. And they had different ideas also about this digital transformation. We could make a smaller grid with just 3 spaces and put each one of them in a place and then leave an empty one, so that we could also align the CXOs. So the tool is versatile, the tool is very creative, and yeah, your own creativity using the tool is the limit to what you can do with it. So yeah. That said, let me check. Someone else. No, someone else had a question about the number of team members. You can do any amount of team members, but this is the same as when working offline. Imagine that you have to align a team of 250 people. Obviously, you are not going to work with the 250 at the same time. You are going to make smaller groups, right? And so you could do the same thing with working online. You need to be strategic about how you create those groups and who you put in each one of them. But yeah, basically we can do very big transformations with a tool. Right. So that's it, Didi. Yeah, the word over to you, and perhaps we have like half an hour for questions. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I think we're actually doing really well, besides the fact that I think the talk has been great. And what I personally liked a lot is that it was very clear for me, at least, to understand everything. And the way that you talk about this topic, you can really sense that you are, well, very much deep into this topic, and very experienced in giving talks or professional workshops around the topic. So that's great, and I want to thank you for that. I also want to point out one question that was asked in the Ask a Question button or box by Arjan. He said, very interesting. How would such a dual culture work? As a culture is, for example, a set of norms and values that influences behavior. How to deal with different norms and values in such a dual culture? Or is that the essence of your alignment? But it was kind of at the beginning of the talk. So
okay, so let me just make sure that I understand the question, because I remember saying those words, dual culture, and that is because what I meant is that we speak about lean and we talk about Western efficiency. In fact, if we say the word efficiency, we know we are talking about the Western efficiency, which is about people, process, and tech, and we use lean for that. We get rid of everything that is an obstacle, and we continue to become better and better and better and better on that. But with that type of efficiency, today we cannot be successful, because things are happening all the time, right? You cannot focus on doing better what you already know how to do, because there is something new happening all the time that you have never seen before, So what I mean with dual culture is, because, as a change agent, you come into an organization, and organizations can get a little scared. It's like, are you saying that everything that we have achieved with this high level of efficiency has no value whatsoever? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that type of efficiency is great, but we need to learn a new type of efficiency that allows us to respond in real time to what is happening. So that's what I meant with dual culture. So you can use all lean, but you need also this new efficiency, which includes all stakeholders in whichever process is playing out. So.
Yes, so if you're talking then about, because I think he pointed out how to deal with different norms and values in such a dual culture. So how would
an alignment tool?
Okay, great. Well, there we go. But because that's actually what he said after that. Or is that the essence of your alignment? So yes, indeed, that is the essence of the alignment.
Yeah. So in that case, if you have a dual culture, you would have a grid with three places: culture one, culture two, and then common ground. How do we build from there? As I said, the tool is very versatile. So because ultimately you will have to be working together, and you are going to be impacting each other, whether you belong to one culture or two. So we need to create that place that we have all contributed to. So yeah,
great. Well, I think
to alignment.
Yeah, that's indeed a great answer to the question by Arjan. Arjan, if you want to know something else, or if your question hasn't been fully covered by the answer given by Solis, please let us know through the chat box, of course. And I think, yeah, we stayed quite updated, or you guys stayed quite updated about the all the chat box remarks. So I actually think that we have answered all of the questions asked so far. So if there's anybody else who wants to know more, well, of course, please let us know. And for now, Solis and Mark, is there anything that you would like to ask the audience, or something you would like to share? Something else, of course, because you've been sharing loads.
I love questions. Yeah, well,
yeah, you first as well.
No, I love questions. So I would say we still have like 15 minutes or so. So questions are much more fun than presentations. So if you want to ask anything, by all means, start shooting.
Yeah, this is your chance.
I think I have more of a question about like the alignment tool itself and the application. I'm not sure if I missed it or not, but if you want to try out the alignment tool before having to buy a subscription to it, or to buy it, is it possible to get like a trial period, or do you suffice that need with the free call, like the discovery call and the green button?
We foresee a trial period coming up. Unfortunately, we haven't reached that point yet. So right now, we're running it in a closed beta. So there is an opportunity to use it, but you'd have to participate in the beta. And so we're still, we're testing it with a small group of people. Once we've passed that milestone, then we'll definitely open it up, and you'll be able to use it for a trial period before committing. Absolutely.
Okay.
So basically, Didi, right now we are using it just with our clients,
okay.
But we do think that there is a possible business coming. But yeah, something like that. But,
cool. That's good to know, I think.
Yeah. But if you were to book a call with us, we can always demonstrate it for you so that you know what you are getting into before actually, signing a contract. So yeah.
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I see no more questions popping up. So I think it's time to maybe close the session, or like wrap it up for a bit. And probably most of us will start to enjoy their weekend as well. I think for now, I want to say a big thank you from the side of Epicenter for contributing to our Epicenter platform in a way like this. So for what concerns this session, there will be a replay available afterwards, so it will be automatically saved on the same page by the use of the same URL and the link, so you can watch a replay. So for instance, if you would like to get back to this, or think of like, oh, this is something I could really use the alignment info for, then you can just go back to this link and watch the replay. Also, if you want to, I will send an email afterwards as well with the link, and also a link to our website, because together with the Epicenter Global member community, we host a lot more other events as well. So I would like, of course, you to visit our website. And if you want to know more about Epicenter, you can always reach out to me by email or by phone. And I will put, of course, Mark and Solis in the email. So if you would like to know more about this topic and alignment and how to solve the issues within your team, you can reach out to them directly as well. So I think for now, I want to thank you, Mark and Solis, for everything and for the session. I think it was very much appreciated by all the participants. And hopefully we'll be in touch again soon. And so thank you. and I wish you all to have a great weekend already.
Thank you, Lily. And thanks everyone for watching.
Okay, guys. See you. Bye-bye.